One and good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining. Thank you for joining this session beyond the brochure. And the specific program is on design the future, explore human-computer interaction and UI. My name is Rupali Verma, and I'm an advisor with Education USA. And I can still see a few students who are joining, but we can still wait for another 2 to 3 minutes. In the meantime, may I request the ones who have already joined us in the chat box, would you like to write the city you are joining in from? Just type the city in the chat so that we know our audience, and we would love to see how far our audience they span today. So just write the city, that would be great. Yeah, and the ones, I mean, there will be a few more who will be joining, but I would also like to understand, since you are joining the session today, what comes to your mind when you hear the word human-computer interaction, HCI? Because when we were planning to hold this session, when we were planning to do this session, I did a lot of search and actually had to read about HCI and realized that how useful it is in our everyday life. In fact, we are using it every day. But then just tell us what comes to your mind, and we would love to hear about it. I'm not able to see my chat. Okay. Okay. Okay, we'll move further, and students who keep joining, do write where are you joining in from, and we can and do let us know about anything that comes to you when you talk about HCI. Okay, so today's special session is basically an opportunity for you all to understand what HCI is, what is the user interface, what is that, and how do they shape the way we interact or with the, and we download the apps, we play games, and the future of the technology. This is what we are going to learn today in our next 45 minutes. We'll also have a glimpse of exciting research innovations, some of the breakthroughs, and the discoveries of HCI. I'll move forward, and I want to give you just a brief information about Education USA. I'm sure many of you have attended our sessions in the past. You are aware of Education USA, but the ones who are joining us for the first time, let me tell you that Education USA is your official source on higher education. We are supported by the US Department of State. We are the official source on higher education plus US mission supported platform that advances US leadership in higher education, research, innovation, while promoting lawful and responsible academic engagements with the United States. We use these words because this is what Education USA is, where we have to provide you with the most accurate, comprehensive, current, and unbiased information about higher studies. There are approximately 400 plus centers across the globe. In right now, they are in around 175 countries. In India, New Delhi is the head office, and we have an advisor who sits in Mumbai, and she works with us virtually. You can stay connected with Education USA. You can sign up to get Education USA updates. There's a QR code. If you want, you can scan through it. And you can follow us on all the social media platforms. Um, we we are a team of 5 advisors. You can write to us at Education USA India and get all your queries answered. Anything you want to know about the 5 steps on how to shortlist universities, how to get your funding, how to complete your applications, applying for your visas, and attending the pre-departure orientations. I just quickly tell you a little, because this is a virtual session and it's important that we at least give you some information, the housekeeping rules. So your camera and audio are muted by us. I mean, this is basically to avoid any distractions. Please make sure that you post your questions in the chat box. Do not shy away. Whatever questions you have, this is a golden opportunity for you to write and check and get responses right from the source. So please post whatever questions you have. You make sure that the questions are relevant to the session. If you have anything beyond the session, as I just mentioned about any 5 steps or anything beyond that, feel free to write us an email and we'll respond to that. Use headphones for enhanced audio quality and check out our resources that we will be posting throughout the session in the chat box. So those resources are important. You can have a screenshot, or you can take a picture and use those resources while starting the process. Agenda, next 40 minutes, we'll just have, we'll start by exploring HCI and UI. How is HCI and UI in action? What are some of the industry insights, innovations, breakthroughs? We have an alumni who's also going to join us around 4:30. The alumni has already done his master's in HCI and UI from Full Sail University, and Full Sail University is where we have our guest speaker also, Miss Anu, who will be joining us. We'll also talk a little bit about the future of HCI and UI, the trends and opportunities, and little bit of information about Full Sail University, where they have a separate department where you, if you are interested in exploring options, you can look at Full Sail University's program. And likewise, there are many other universities, but it's the student who needs to decide which is going to be the best fit for them. So you can always go ahead and look at those admissions and for international students and other opportunities. Okay, so our expert today is Miss Anu from Full Sail University. Anu is basically the Assistant Regional Director for Full Sail University here in India. We'll also be joined by Siddhant Kumar, who is the alumnus of Full Sail University. And Siddhant is currently an Assistant Professor of Communication Design at Pearl Academy in New Delhi. But he will be joining us in the next 20-25 minutes. The LinkedIn profile, if you want to have the LinkedIn profile and see the LinkedIn profile about speakers, that's there in your chat box right now. Please go and have a look at it. And with this, I will stop sharing here, and Ms. Anu, you can start sharing your screen and take the conversation ahead.
Ma'am, just a moment. Can you please check to see if the chat is disabled from your side? I am not able to put anything in the chat.
Okay. We are just checking. We are checking it. Anu, you can start the session, and we are in the meantime just checking it.
All right. Hi, and a very warm good evening to everyone. I'm delighted to be here with Education USA on yet another a very interesting topic. Honestly, it was pretty interesting for me to be working on, and I really want to thank Education USA for giving me this opportunity for this hopefully very fruitful session for all of you. It was fruitful for me, learning more about everything. It began with the Alexa example, right? I'm sure we all have Alexa, but have we ever wondered what actually went on behind making even what we have today, right? So let's see what HCI, UI, and UX is all about. We will explore these terms together, which is human computer interaction, UI, which is your user interface, and user experience, which is your UX. Many people think they mean the same thing, but each has a different role. Think of them as layers that work together to create every digital product we use, from banking apps to Netflix to Instagram. By the end of the presentation, you will understand not only what each term means, but also why all three are equally important. Let's begin with the foundation of all digital interaction. Human-computer interaction, or HCI, is a science of communication between humans and technology. It studies how people use computers, phones, ATMs, smartwatches, and even AI. HCI combines psychology, computer science, design, and engineering. The objective is simple: make technology faster, easier, and more intuitive to use. Every tap, click, swipe, or voice command is an example of HCI in action. When you unlock your phone with Face ID, you're interacting with technology through HCI. Once we understand how humans interact with machines, the next step is making that interaction effortless. Good HCI removes obstacles. A well-designed system understands what users are trying to accomplish. It minimizes errors. It provides clear feedback. It allows people to complete tasks quickly without confusion. When technology feels natural, users hardly notice the interface. They simply accomplish their goals. Think about ordering food online. If it takes only 3 clicks, that is good interaction design. Now, UI we know stands for user interface. It is everything we can see and interact with on a screen: buttons, icons, menus, fonts, colors, layouts, images. UI designers focus on making products attractive, organized, and easy to navigate. A beautiful interface creates a strong first impression. UI is what users see, but looking good is not enough. UX stands for user experience. UX is about how users feel while using a product. Is it easy? Is it enjoyable? Does it solve their problems? Does it meet their expectations? UX includes research, testing, understanding user behavior. Even if an app looks beautiful, pure, poor usability creates a bad user experience. An attractive website that's difficult to navigate has great UI, but poor UX. Now, let's diagnose what all the three are. HCI, that focuses on the relationship between humans and technology. It asks a simple question: can humans and computers communicate effectively? UI, that focuses on the appearance of the interface and asks, does it look clear, attractive, and organized? Whereas UX focuses on the overall experience and it asks, was using the product simple, useful, and enjoyable? If I had to summarize it, HCI provides the science, UI creates the interface, and UX delivers the experience. These three disciplines are not separate. They depend on each other. HCI forms the foundation by understanding human behavior. UI creates a visual bridge between users and technology. And UX evaluates the complete journey. Without without HCI, we may not understand user behavior. Without UI, users won't know how to interact. Without UX, even a beautiful product may fail. What is the key message here? Successful digital products balance all three. This is what Steve Jobs said, the core philosophy of digital products. Design is not just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it works.
आज
What we
रीडिंग
really
कैपिटल मेरी नहीं हो पाई ना, मेरा नंबर 44 है, कल मेरी हो जाएगी.
Participants, may I please request you to mute yourself?
Thank
Sorry,
you.
Anna, please go ahead.
Digital products are designed for everyone. Accessibility ensures technology can be used regardless of age or ability. Examples that we see: screen readers, voice commands, high contrast modes, larger fonts, closed captions, keyboard navigation. Inclusive design isn't an extra feature, it's good design. Accessibility often benefits everyone, not just users with any disability. So, the next time you see an app or website, don't just think about whether it looks good. Instead, ask, is it easy to use? Is it enjoyable? Does it solve my problem quickly? Does it feel natural? If the answer is yes, then HCI, UI, and UX have worked together successfully. Let's take some examples. We have WhatsApp. Even someone who has never used WhatsApp before can usually learn it in few minutes. That's excellent UX. When I ask Google Maps, take me to the airport, and it understands my voice and gives me directions, that is HCI. Netflix understands my viewing habits, recommends shows I might enjoy, that is personalized experience, keeps users engaged. So, technology is no longer about functionality. It's about creating meaningful, intuitive, and inclusive experiences. HCI helps us understand people, UI creates the interface they interact with, and UX ensures that interaction is valuable and enjoyable. Now, let's go over some of those really cool ways humans and computers interact, right? I'm sure you are all aware of what I'm going to show, but we never actually thought about it as UI, HCI, or even UX. Your hands today are the remote. No buttons are needed. We no longer depend on buttons. Smartphones introduce gestures like swipe, pinch, and tap. Today's technology goes beyond touch. Devices like Apple Vision Pro can understand hand movements and eye tracking. The goal is to make interaction feel natural, almost like interacting with real objects. Instead of learning technology, technology is learning how humans naturally behave. Our hands become the controller. The next big step was using our language. Chatting with AI like a friend. AI has transformed from answering commands to having conversations. Modern AI understands context, remembers the flow of a discussion. Features like quick replies, natural language make communication feel more personal. Instead of searching for information, we simply ask questions as we would ask another person. This is changing education, work, customer service, and creativity. Instead of typing keywords into Google, we now ask AI, can you help me plan my vacation? That's a completely different experience. Tech as part of the fit. I'm sure you all have already started seeing the ads of Ray-Ban. Technology is becoming wearable instead of handheld. Smart glasses can provide information without taking out a phone. They blend digital information into everyday life. The future isn't about carrying more devices, it's about making technology almost invisible. If we don't even need to hold technology, maybe we don't even need to touch it. This is where I started, right? Voice assistants allow completely hands-free interaction. Smart speakers help with reminders, music, weather, home automation. Voice is especially useful while driving, cooking, and multitasking. As speech recognition improves, speaking becomes one of the fastest ways to interact with technology. How many of you have ever said, "Hey Siri" or "Alexa"? And at that, my phone starts responding immediately. Now, your health is also on your wrist. Wearables have turned health monitoring into something continuous. Smartwatches track activity, heartbeat, sleep, exercise. Instead of waiting for a doctor's visit, users receive daily insights. This helps people become more aware of their health and lifestyle. Technology isn't just helping us communicate, it's helping us understand ourselves. You are the password. Passwords are becoming less important. Biometrics like fingerprints and facial recognition are faster and more secure. Since everyone's biological features are unique, authentication becomes simpler and the experience improves because security happens almost instantly. Technology is becoming smart enough to recognize us automatically. This is the tech that adjusts to you. I'm sure you all noticed it. Modern interfaces adapt instead of expecting users to adapt. Phones automatically switch to dark mode. Apps learn user preferences. Accessibility features personalize the experience. AI is making interfaces increasingly customized for every individual. Think about how Netflix recommends shows or Spotify creates playlists they learn from our behavior. This is the big picture. Great UI feels invisible. If we look at all these innovations together, we can see one clear trend. Technology is becoming more natural and almost invisible. We move instead of clicking, we speak instead of typing, we wear technology instead of carrying it, we use our identity instead of passwords, and our devices adapt to us rather than forcing us to adapt to them. The best user interface is often the one we hardly notice because it feels effortless. With this, we jump into Full Sail University. Let's talk about the location first. We are located in Winter Park, which is near Orlando in Florida, USA. We are a huge campus. We are a private school or a private university, as we call it, and we have a 210-acre campus. We have different schools, from game to music to technology, and the technology department at Full Sail is called Emerging Technology Department. We also have sports, we have film, business, music, animation. But I love this. We always say we are different because at Full Sail, and Once we introduce Siddhant, our alumni, he will also share his experience about what changed or why he chose Full Sail and how he is or how it is helping him navigate where he is. We are different. The first thing is you will finish the degree in half the time. All your bachelor's, 120 credits, will finish in only 20 months on campus, and all the masters are only 12 months duration. We have an intake every month, a new start or a new batch starting every month. We have industry-like facilities. This is what we love or our students love about Full Sail, the hands-on learning, professional grade environments. At Full Sail, we have over 110 studios and labs. These are all industry size, industry relevant. The entire curriculum is to give you a feel as if you're already in a studio or are working in technology or working in that real world environment. The latest edition I know on campus is the Drone Innovation Center, which is about 8,000 square feet. And IBM has partnered with Full Sail here to work on cyber defense. And the amazing career support team that works round the clock. There are webinars, there are career fairs, you will be assigned mentors from the industry, and the faculty at Full Sail are people from the industry. So if you're passionate about what you want to do, you don't like the academic approach, then Full Sail is the place which you will really enjoy being in. These are some of the industries where alumni are working in. Some of the other industry networks, from Google to IBM to SpaceX to Tesla to NASA. We are also an Apple distinguished school. And that comes because we have been winning awards for a different approach to education. Here, I would like to talk about two of the capstone projects because I have mentioned that Full Sail is different. We are a very, very industry-oriented or a project-based school. This is one of the apps created by our student who was undergoing the computer science degree, and the task was to make an app, right? Now, how did it even start? I said passion, right? The student's wife loved cleanliness, or she liked, let's say, not a messy room. So that's how the idea came. So it started from an idea. There's a lot of research that went into how from the app name, which is Cleaner, a lot of surveys. There are other apps in the industry. Why would this app work? So basically converting it into a working model or a working app, which also culminates into getting profit when you sell the app. So it starts from a passionate idea, the capstone. You will use HCI, you will use a lot of surveys, you might use data science, you will use AI, everything combined to make or get a working app. It's not just a paper that you're submitting, or just a thesis or a paper, anything like that. It has to be a working app. I found this personally very, very interesting. This particular student was allergic to pollen grains. As a result, this student could never physically visit a zoo. So when she came into this capstone of computer science, right, and HCI was what she was working on, she came up with this idea: can an animal lover enjoy learning about wildlife without harming any ecosystem, right? Or harming herself because she has a pollen allergy. That is where she came up with this hologram zoo. So there was a lot of research that went into what she was doing. How or why would a hologram zoo work better than virtual reality or actually visiting, So there was a lot of survey, and this girl actually designed a hologram here. So it was not just dedicated to a hologram zoo or aquarium. The other benefits also were it could be used in museum exhibitions, medical spaces, Gen Next entertainment. So it started from a passionate idea. It is your idea and ended up into a product which actually she could benefit monetary as well, right? So this is where we say Full Sail is different. Full Sail is not just an academic school. We build entrepreneurs as well, right? So that's that huge difference between probably the academic schools. And if you love innovation, if you are passionate about what you want to do, this could be one place where you could mix your HCI AI skills in learning everything. A quick application checklist here. Remember, we have an intake every month. There will be an admissions interview. Don't be worried about the admissions interview part of it. It's a general information session, trying to understand you better, talk about the scholarships, the different way Full Sail works on teaching. And the next step naturally will be submitting a passport or a government issued identification. We will need for undergrad students the high school transcripts. For masters, we will need college transcripts and a third party evaluation. You need the language proficiency, financial guarantee, and in certain degrees, you will need some maths assessment or portfolio requirements. So that brings me to the end of my presentation here. And I think we have already been joined by Sid. Rupali? Sid had joined in.
Yes, Siddhant has joined, and I have
Right.
already. Hi, Siddhant. Thank you for joining at a very short notice and graciously accepting to come for this session. I know it's a very tight schedule for all the professors, for the teaching profession, taking out time, and we are very thankful to you. Anu, would you like to go? And so students who have joined us today, it was an excellent presentation, Anu. In fact, there's so much that even I learned. And that is what is this era all about. We have to learn something new every day. We are, as I also mentioned right in the beginning, that we are used, we just give a task to Alexa and other things every day, but we don't know what is the technology that is involved, and that's so much important, students, to upgrade your skills. The time is changing, and to upgrade your skills is so much important now. Um, Siddhant, once again, welcome to this Beyond the Brochure session.
Thank you so much.
Anu has framed a few questions for you. We thought let us ask you a few questions and understand your journey from Full Sail to your current institution, Pearl Academy, where you are teaching right now. What worked, what didn't work, and what is one what is that you I mean your feedback and your the entire journey is important to be shared with the students.
All right. So let's begin with, I won't call it a rapid fire, but take your time.
Yeah.
So Siddhant, what first sparked your interest in UI UX and why did you choose Full Sail University for your master's degree?
Absolutely. First of all, Rupali ma'am, thank you so much for having me here. And Anu, I think it was a great presentation. Okay, and couple of ways in which technology is interacting with us and how we are interacting with technology is further giving a lot of definition to what the UX design industry holds for us, like, as passionate designers. My personal approach towards this was not actually, I was not actually looking to become a UX designer. Okay, I'll be very honest. I was always a gamer and I wanted to be a game designer. It just so happens that somehow I stumbled upon UX design. Okay, we had a UX design, an entire UX design program at Pearl Academy. However, I was in the game design program, and in the very first month, I began having some doubts in my mind that, well, am I missing out on a lot by being a game designer and not fully committing to UX design and so on. See, but that's the most amazing part about my experience at Full Sail. I had gone there to learn game design, but I ended up learning game design, art, psychology, programming, production, user experience design, UX research, and all of those things kind of happened organically. Today, I'm a professor. Okay, I'm a professor of game design and UX design at Pearl Academy, and a great amount of all of this is attributed to my experiences at Full Sail. Absolutely. Okay. I wanted always to learn about tech. Okay, and in the beginning, I wanted to learn about tech from a game perspective. Like, I wanted to understand how to make games, and I wanted to understand how to make complex games. Um, and I'll be honest, I always saw game design or UX design as a technical challenge. However, at Full Sail, I discovered that it is much more of a understanding of human beings that we need to actually get under our like in our day-to-day practice. Web design, app design, natural interface design, or virtual reality, it has got much more to do with understanding of what a human really needs and what a human would consider satisfactory. Okay, and this word satisfactory changes with times. As technology evolves, our goalposts of what we consider satisfactory shifts. So at Full Sail, I spent a lot more time observing people, actually. Some of our courses pushed us into a type of research that I was unfamiliar with. And I'm very glad that I did all of that. I'm very glad that I visited a clinic where people with Alzheimer's or dementia were being treated. I'm very glad that I spent hours standing in Target just looking at how people pick things from the shelves. And I'm also very glad that I went to a motor school and I saw the difficulties people were having in learning how to drive. Okay, and none of these things actually taught me any tech. It didn't teach me anything as how to make an interface in Figma or anything like that. That I learned eventually, right? And we had courses which taught us that. But the real learning I took was how to do UX in a practical way, if I may, right? In a nutshell, I would like to say that Full Sail enabled me to see things more practically. It took the theoretical frameworks I had in my mind and it pushed me into the real world and said, hey, go out there, apply this stuff, figure it out, right? And we are not looking for the best solution. We are just happy that we are taking a step in the right direction. I mean, how many times has Instagram changed in the last 10 years? Like, so many times. It'll never be perfect, but each change is brought about by human needs, human necessities, and how something can be optimized in today's context and not just rely on, well, we did a clean shot design and this is the way it's going to be. The evolving nature of the world reflects within the interfaces that we make, and it is an ongoing process. So yeah, that's a bit of um what I wanted to say about that.
That's, I mean, um, what you described in the examples is something which we actually see around us every day, but we actually never considered it as, oh, this could be what is really happening when we talk of UI UX. Looking back, what were some of your most valuable skills or experiences you gained at Full Sail that you use at your role in Pearl Academy today?
See, Anu, you know me. I'm a bit of an introverted guy. Okay, I don't know how to express myself properly, and maybe up to some extent I'm still working on it today. But being amongst people who would push you to be a better version of yourself, and who would reward you when you make tiny progresses. That is something that I had. I mean, I had experienced it, but I've just never experienced it in the way I experienced it at Full Sail. Okay. The very first day at Full Sail, we were all sitting in this auditorium, and Gary was talking to us about technology, and he was talking to us about how the future of design, and we were all mostly design people. There's other departments also, but we were all design people. And he was talking about how design leads to change, and become the change what you want to see in the world, right? And of course, it was all very motivational. But the one thing I remembered was people were given an opportunity to just stand up and just say what they want to build. Okay. And I said something too. I said that I wanted to build a game that can be played on mobile, and it should be about the unheard stories in Mahabharata. That is what I said, actually. And at that time, I was like, did I say something weird? Like, did I say? But no. People, like somebody in the crowd stood up and he's like, "I'm going to hold you to that word." That's what he said. And I didn't know this guy. He didn't know me. And I'll tell you, that happened. That happened. We met again. We discussed it, and we worked on Tales of Mahabharata together.
Wow.
So it is just these kind of things which have made me come out of my shell in a way, and it has helped me to be a better communicator. It has helped me to be more honest, and it has helped me to see a world without too many boundaries. Okay. And that is something that I don't know who to thank for that. Like I'll just thank my teachers and my fellows in Full Sail. Because it was not just one incident, it was the overall experience that changed some perceptions about me, changed some understanding of this discipline. That is one thing maybe that would be a part of me forever. So.
Okay. Can you share a project you're especially proud of, either from Full Sail or at Pearl, and explain how the skills you learned helped you succeed?
Absolutely. While I don't have any actual footage of this thing, I would like to talk about two projects actually. One was which was my my personally created idea, that was there should be a story-based game on Mahabharata, so that everyone can learn those moral lessons and whatnot. And in that, and in both the projects actually, the main thing that I learned was how to leave my own perceptions and enter the perceptions of somebody else, basically. And the answer, the one word, and I'm sure, like, for all those who are listening, I'm sure many of you want to be UX designers, and you want to, and you probably know this word, and this word is empathy. Okay, empathy. I really wanted to be able to feel what my user is feeling. Okay. The clinic where we visited, me and my classmate, like we had a group project, and we visited a place where Alzheimer's, well, you can't really treat Alzheimer's, but like people who were having that, they were there, and they were having some form of treatment or some form of rehabilitation or something going on. We did a lot of observation, and I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty details of it, but I learned that people who can forget things still remember a lot, actually. Like it's a very strange, it's a very strange condition that as people's lifespans are increasing, more and more people who are living beyond a certain age might have either partial or complete, or some form of memory loss as it is. If I were to design a design intervention for them, how should a UX designer approach this? And I read a lot. I read a lot of research papers. We tried little experiments. We tried changing the font of. So one of the problems that people were having was when they were going back to their rooms, sometimes people would forget the room number. It's just a thing, like, and they said that without a guide, sometimes people can be wandering the halls, not knowing what has to be done. So they need a little bit of assistance. So we tried so many things. We tried using a family photograph instead of a number on the door. We tried a whole bunch of things, like, me and my partner who were trying this out. And we wrote, this was our analysis, this was the problem, this is the thing. And in doing so many times, I actually began to feel the problem, right? And this is what UX design is actually. Before we can become tech experts, or before we can make an interface on something like Adobe XD or Figma, or even using AI nowadays, the most important thing is to feel what your user is feeling. And I have attended workshops, I have taken online classes, and I've also studied UX in my former college, but never before was I this deeply emotionally involved with a project. We also did a sign language game for people who had some form of a hearing, like a hearing impairment. Some sounds seem muffled. So how do we make a game about learning how to count, or learning how to learning the alphabet for children who had this problem? Well, we had to again step out of our mind frame, and we had to enter into the mind of a child who has this issue. And I know, like, this and many other examples are some of the projects that I still talk about in my slideshows, in my, like, in just my general explanation of what a UX designer needs to understand. I definitely quote these projects, and I say how much it made me grow, doing each of these projects, not as a tech specialist, but as a feeling human being, actually. Like, that's the thing.
That's so wonderful. And I truly agree. When I started my research, and you helped a lot in today's presentation, just understanding that, right? I understood how important psychology plays in creating what the best experience. I mean, we're all here on Zoom today, right?
Absolutely.
Somebody, I mean, I know I never used Zoom before COVID.
That's
So
true.
this is, I think, again, a wonderful example of, and it is evolving, it is changing. We have AI notes, the transcript, there's so many things. So yeah, thank you. That's, I think, a very heartfelt example you shared. What surprised you most when transitioning from a student to working as a UI UX professional, and how well did Full Sail prepare you for that transition?
Well, it was quite a big change. I'll be honest. There is always going to be, I mean, depending on how you see it, like, there's always going to be a little bit of an unfamiliar feeling when you enter the industry from academics. In academics, we are working with theories, and we are working with concepts, and we are working towards an ideal model of the world. Okay, but when we go towards the industry, we see that it is anything but ideal. It's about communication. It is about being smart. It's about reading the room. It's about understanding context. And so many of those things are not mentioned in any book, actually. But thankfully enough, we at Full Sail, we had a cap. I don't know when does the capstone kick in nowadays, but in the master's program, when I was studying, around 6 months down the line, we would enter a capstone program. In the capstone program, we were basically put into a simulated office sort of a situation. The office was being, well, it was being owned and controlled partly by people who were already professors in Full Sail, and they also had stakeholders from the industry who were also guiding our actions. So in every way, it was a real project. It was a real set of strangers who had come together to get something done. Okay. And that experience, so I was at Select Games, which was a part of the game design capstone. And there was other capstones also. There was like the UX capstone, there was the production capstone, there was the game development capstone, and so on. And they all were working on like real projects. I was once invited into a lab where there was a professor, and he was just figuring out how to do vector additions in virtual reality. So, for example, maths can be a little hard to visualize, right? Today, students are even using graph editors and everything to solve algebraic equations or quadratic equations. So, the inability for a person to see maths in action and only work with symbols and syntaxes, that can be hard. So, his name is Dan, by the way. Like, so Professor Dan, he was actually planning to try out vector additions and vector multiplication inside a virtual space where you could actually see the whole thing in 3D. Okay, so I mean, it is stuff like this that makes me excited. Okay, like, but this is something that has not happened, right? Like I'm a part of observing a process that might lead to a technological intervention in how we study maths, right? So these kinds of examples, plus working with real people, solving real problems, this prepared me to be comfortable in an unknown place. And that unknown place being any office that you would go to, you would meet strangers, you would figure out your place in the organization, what can you do best to help the organization. And I think having those experiences back in Full Sail helped me get confidence, and it helped me think more about what needed to be done rather than thinking how I'm feeling at any given time. It made me more practical and work ready, I believe.
Okay, one final question. I think that's really important coming from you. One piece of advice that you would like to give to anyone, bachelor's or master's, who is considering UI UX today, and why would you recommend or not recommend this path?
Sure. I mean, I have a lot of advices to give, like considering how many people want to be in this field. One, it's not an advice; it's just a statement that don't say UI UX. That's one advice. Okay, because when we couple these words together, it's like saying AR VR. I mean, augmented reality is something different, and virtual reality is something different. So what's up with AR VR? I don't get it. In the same way, UI UX, people think it's kind of belittling what this thing actually is. Okay, user interfaces are real systems with which we can interact, and the user experience is this imaginary thing that is going on in our head. Okay, you can become a great UX designer if you fully understand what the design thinking process is. Okay, and the design thinking process is not just a diagram, guys. Okay, it's real. Each step is real. Many a times in doing our school assignments, we are like, oh yeah, sure, empathy, ideate, define, prototype, test, like sure. We have that almost like now inbuilt into our psyche. But this thing happens when something is getting repeated again and again and again. We kind of become a little immune to it, and we stop thinking about what we are actually saying. One advice is be very organic, be very real. Okay, don't do anything just for the sake of it. A UX designer is at the heart of problem solving. Okay, and you're not going to learn a mantra which is going to just give you the perfect formula each and every time. So be real, be present in the situation, and try to think as others are thinking and not just as yourself. That is maybe the most critical advice that I would give. Okay, it can make or break careers. Okay, like this type of a thing. Failing to understand the user can definitely send you much back in your project. Okay.
Oh, but that's wonderful. Rupali,
Yeah,
do you
yeah,
have any
yeah.
questions?
That was extremely helpful. Siddhant, there's one question from my end, which I really wanted to check because when students come to us, this normally ask us question what kind of projects or experiences can help students build a strong portfolio. So, any advice for them?
Absolutely. Don't have too many projects. That's one. Whichever project you have, figure out what is the pinnacle contribution of yours inside that project. Okay. So for example, not every project needs to be showing research, prototyping, iterations, testing, all of them in equal amounts. Project should have a focal point. Okay. For example, the project I'm talking about when it was about Alzheimer's, I don't even have any prototypes actually that were built. It is more about research. One of the problems, and please, if anyone, I'm not targeting anybody. Okay, I'm just saying stuff that I've seen as a professor and as a student. Okay, we try to make our projects very pretty by making sure that the layout is super clean and all of that. It has the UX level of decorated organizational flex. Okay, that like, hey, we are UI designers, right? But many of these projects actually fail to have any real reflections, guys. Okay. Uh, yes, of course, you are a design student. You are probably already proficient in graphic design, layouts, grids, and so on. But don't let that be the most important thing of the project. Have something deeply personal in the project. Tell the project as a story. How you landed into it, what happened, and what was the conclusion. Even if the things is that things were inconclusive, write that down. Because what people want to see from your projects is your ability to comprehensively state a design process. Okay. It could be that some parts of the design process were more important than other parts of the design process. So, for example, if you have done a project which was all about prototyping, make that the highlight. If you have done a project which was all about quantifying user interviews, make it all about that. There are so many different roles in the UX design industry that in one project, if you try to show all of it, even if sincerely it has happened, it can be very difficult for the reader to take it all in. So try to keep your portfolio projects short, relevant, and full of experiences. Okay, that is what people want to see. That is one thing, Rupali ma'am, that I would like to talk about in UX
Perfect.
portfolio.
Yeah, that's very, very important to make your story more deeply personal rather than just because everyone knows that you are a graphic designer. That I really like that. Siddhant, that was amazing. Actually, the session is so interesting, and you just feel like hearing your stories and your experiences. Anu, before we conclude, I just have one question for you. If someone is interested in doing a research program at Full Sail University, would you just in the HCI, how can they proceed?
So our computer science program is actually research based. The first month starts from researching on a topic. The two examples I showed, right? So in the first month, the students have already thought about the research, or they've dug into what they would like to work on in the entire year. So yes, there is research, and that's why we say it's hands-on, and it is a research. It may not be quantified as a PhD, but there's definite research before any project. Am I correct, Siddhant?
Absolutely. Like research starts with a question, right? Like, what are we actually researching? Like, we are trying to find an answer. That's what research is. And if you ask a question in the domain of human cognition, when they are interacting with computers, that's a full-fledged HCI hypothesis. Now, what exactly are you asking? Well, there can be, again, there are books about it. Research also requires reading, like, reading and kind of trying to chisel out the domain in which we are trying to do the research is very, very important. So go with a curious mind and really try all the scientific research methods to try to come to the conclusion. It will surprise you actually how effective it can be. Don't try to imagine the answer of the hypothesis before doing the research. That's one more thing.
Right. Okay, so I think we need to conclude the session, and thank you, Anu, and thank you, Siddhant. It was such an amazing, engaging, and insightful session. Really appreciate your taking out time and the enthusiasm that you shared with our students. That was like, I'm sure the students who have attended the session today, they are very happy and they will incorporate the tips, the tricks that you just mentioned with them. And we look forward to collaborating more and more with you, having more such sessions, because as I rightly mentioned in the beginning, that these sessions that Education USA is doing, all these sessions, it's a need of the hour, and it's for all the students to make sure that you upskill your interest. The skill development is very, very important. So every day is a learning day, and yeah, so let's I think we'll conclude the session now. And students, thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, feel free to write to us. The email ID is there in the chat box. We have also shared Siddhant's and Miss Anu's LinkedIn profile for all of you. You can go through it, and if you have any questions, you can write to them. You can write to Education USA. Thank you once again, and we look forward for more and more sessions on these topics. Thank you so much, Siddhant and Anu. Thank you.
Thanks for the
Thank you,
opportunity.
Rupali. Thank you, Education
Thank you.
USA, for giving us this opportunity. Honestly, before I started, I myself didn't know so much. So I want to thank
And
you
now
all.
now you are a pro in that. So this is what I think we were discussing, that it's so important that all of us, I mean, there's so many things that I learned during this last 1 hour. And that's how everyone has to learn and move forward.
Yes, thank
And
you for
adapt to the
organizing
new
such
changes.
sessions. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Anu.
Thank you,
So much.
everyone. Bye-bye. Good evening.
Bye.